I've been paying for AI voice tools for a while now, and the honest answer to whether any of them are actually worth it usually depends on one thing that nobody talks about up front: whether you have a real workflow to plug them into or not. So in this video, I'm going to break that down properly, not just what ElevenLabs does, but exactly when it earns its cost when it doesn't, and how to figure out which side of that line you're on before you spend $1. The tool we're talking about today is ElevenLabs, which is an AI voice platform. If you want to follow along and test it yourself, I've left the link in the description below. Now, before we get into the specifics, I want to define what worth it actually means, because people use that phrase and mean three completely different things. Either it saves you time, it improves the quality of what you're putting out, or it helps you publish more consistently. If ElevenLabs does at least one of those for you, the math starts working. If it does none of them, no plan is going to fix that. Here's the mistake I see people make constantly. They buy a subscription before they have a workflow. They see the demos, it sounds impressive, and they sign up. Then a month later, they've barely touched it, and they're wondering why it didn't change anything. The tool isn't the problem, the missing workflow is. So before you decide on any plan, run this test first. Open ElevenLabs, pick a voice, paste in a script you've already written, and generate a voiceover for a real project. Not a test, a real one, something you'd actually publish. If you can do that in under 15 minutes and the output is usable, you have a workflow fit. That's the green light to justify paying. If it takes you an hour of tweaking and you still don't love it, that's information too. Now let me walk you through the use cases where a paid plan is clearly worth it, because this is where it gets specific. If you're publishing on any kind of regular schedule, weekly videos, daily shorts, consistent podcast episodes, the time savings compound fast. Every voiceover you use to record, re-record, clean up, and edit is now just a paste and a generate. That's not a small thing if you're doing it every week. If you're doing client work and you need a reliable voice that sounds professional every single time, ElevenLabs handles that with a consistency you can't replicate by recording yourself on different days in different rooms. And if you're building any kind of brand voice, a character, a persona, an educational series, having that voice stay identical across every piece of content is actually one of the harder problems to solve, and ElevenLabs solves it completely. The trade-off is that none of that value shows up if you only need voice occasionally. One video a month, one project here and there, you're probably fine staying on the free tier or paying only when you actually need it. There's also an honest comparison worth making here. A traditional voice workflow, even if you're good at it, means recording, catching mistakes, doing retakes, cleaning up audio, and still sometimes not loving how you sound. If you value your time at even a modest rate, the hours that process takes add up faster than a monthly subscription. That's not an argument to subscribe blindly, but it is the right way to think about the actual cost of not using it. Now let me give you something concrete. The licensing side of this matters, and most creators skip it entirely. If you're monetizing content, running ads, or producing work for clients, you need to know what usage rights come with the voice you're using. ElevenLabs has different terms across its plans, and getting that wrong is the kind of thing that creates problems later. Check the plan you're on before you start distributing anything commercially. Here's the framework I'd actually use if I were making this decision from scratch. First, figure out your content cadence. How often are you publishing? Weekly or more means this probably pays for itself. Monthly or less, be more careful. Second, run that 15-minute test I mentioned. Get a real voiceover done and see how it feels. Third, track it over 2 weeks. How many assets did you actually create? If you're using it every few days, the upgrade pays for itself in hours saved. If it sat there untouched, you have your answer. So the real question isn't whether ElevenLabs is worth it in general, it's whether it fits where you are right now. Build the workflow first, test it with real content, then decide on the plan. That order matters. With that process, you can make a clear-eyed call on any AI tool before you commit to paying for it. And if you want to run that test right now and see how ElevenLabs fits into your own workflow, the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.